Hello and welcome to the Crypto Power Hour with Epic Creations. This is Michael Cunningham from Epic Creations. Today we're joined by expert investor Ryan Cunningham, my brother. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Ryan, and tell us how long you've been in the market.
I live in Seattle. We're kind of close to where he and I grew up. I have been investing for a lot of years. And actually, before I get into that, just a little introduction about myself. Just got married recently to my beautiful wife, Brenda. We've got a little dog. I'm really big into jujitsu. I've been doing jujitsu for five and a half years, different martial arts for the last 10. So I teach, I train, I do all that stuff. So that's kind of my life outside of crypto. And then getting into crypto, I've actually been doing investing, not in crypto, but in investing for the last, gosh, 13 or so years now. I've been trading on and off. I worked a long time on developing a paper trading strategy that I used to make some decent money in stocks and was kind of doing that. And then had been exposed to crypto probably back in like 2013. I had a friend who was mining Bitcoin and stuff, and I always thought it was kind of the idea of something that would eventually stop inflating, and with the half life that you get every having with Bitcoin was something that was really appealing to me. But at the time, I was not educated enough to know that you could only buy like a partial Bitcoin, and at the time, the cost of Bitcoin had rocketed up to like $2,500, and that was like way too much for me to afford back then, as just basically just barely out of college and stuff like that. So I never ended up buying in. And then when the hype went up to 20,000, I was like, oh, it's all just hype. There's nothing backing it up. So I didn't get into it then either. But I kept trading stocks, and I had a pretty successful stock trading strategy that made me like I wasn't ever playing with big numbers of money, but it consistently made me profit over and over. And so I got into that, and then back in 2020, I got a new job, a new gig where I was making a lot more money than I had been previously. So I started investing more again back in the stock market. I had the same stock trading strategy I really jumped into. And then also just for I think I had Robinhood, and so just when they introduced crypto trading, I think just for fun, I decided to toss a couple, like I think I threw $100 or $200 into Bitcoin. And then in January 2021, after the whole GameStop and everything had gone on, and when everyone was like, "We're gonna pump Dogecoin next," and I jumped into Dogecoin not because I believed in it, but because I thought it was, I was trying to get on the next wave of like the GameStop, AMC, whatever. And so I ended up in total buying about 4 grand in Dogecoin. At one point, I had 100,000 Dogecoins, and then I kind of lost faith in it, and I sold 80,000 of them, which was taking my initial investment out. So I held on to 20,000. Then a couple months later, when it pumped, I sold some at 20, I sold some at 30, I sold some at 50, and then I knew that all the meme lords were going to sell at 69. So I sold at 68, and I sold almost all the rest of the Dogecoin I had. So basically, out of the 4,000 I put in, I made 11,500. So I made $7,500 profit, which is the biggest trading profit I'd ever made at that point. And then from there, I just jumped into crypto. I got really into Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the other stuff. I was buying all that stuff. And now I'm kind of every day looking at the prices. I've got a few trading strategies that I use that kind of very, very low risk, but not super high reward, but consistent profit with mitigating pretty much down to almost no losses. So that's basically my story investing so far. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for being here with us today. And
Yeah.
yeah, I remember when just when I first heard about Bitcoin and one of my friends was talking about it, and I thought, oh, internet coins, digital coins, it sounds pretty cool. But I didn't have too much access to a computer or the funds to access the Bitcoins, so, or even the knowledge to know how to do it. So luckily I was able to get in later, started investing in Tesla, and doubled up a few times on that. And then also bought some Bitcoin from Cash App when that first started going, and made some good money on that. And then basically the AMC and the GME thing was that really opened my eyes to like the possibility of the gains that you can make in crypto and stocks, and it was really amazing. So ever since then, that's when I really heavily invested my time and money into it. Yeah. So what's your favorite crypto?
Uh, I mean, honestly, I'm a, and this is something that if anybody listening has kind of followed Michael's trading versus mine, Michael is very much more into trying to find you know, I like, the shit coin sometimes, but definitely he's trying to find the next gem, the next Shiba, the next, whatever. I'm very much more a safer investor. So I'm typically like, I mean, I'm not all, but mostly big caps. I'm mostly in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I have a family, and like I said, I can't risk blowing everything I have on some crazy stuff. So I do it. I dabble a little bit in smaller stuff, but I'm mostly Bitcoin, Ethereum. I've got a decent amount of Cardano. I've got some Multiverse X, Elrond, whatever you want to call it nowadays. Tiny little bit of Matic, tiny bit of XRP, and then the other one that the only not big cap that I'm in is XTP, which is TAP. I've seen some very convincing arguments that that might be the next one to really pop, and I've already made a little bit of money on that. I only invested like $400 in it, but it's probably worth 1,000, 1,500 now. So it's definitely going up. But it could be if and when it does launch in the U.S., which is they're taking their time, like everything in crypto. It's always delayed a year or two. But whenever they do get to it, it's probably gonna blow up. So that's my one gem that I'm holding that I think will be a gem.
Yeah, I hope XTP tap blows up because I bought the top.
Yeah, yeah, and that was my bad. I told you that. That was the one I told you to buy. I mean, it hasn't dropped too far from there. It's only down like 50% from there or something. But it's that was the first top, I guess, that they had, and I think it's all the arguments that I've seen are very strong for why that is going to be a very strong crypto. It's traded on the London Stock Exchange, and it's regulated, and it's like a bank account, and so it's gonna be one of those things that makes buying crypto for non-crypto people easier, which is all of those things are always very important in whenever bull runs come.
It's just a matter of time before adoption and it just becomes used by all these businesses, merchants, and individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we have just a matter of time before a ton of the coins go on another bull run. And
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to see Bitcoin above 30,000 again. It's looking like it might drop below it again pretty soon, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's sitting right on the edge, but I don't know. I saw somebody who's just a guy that I usually watch just about every morning. Like when I'm driving in the work truck, as I throw on a YouTube video in the background, I listen to Crypto Jeb. For anybody out there that's ever heard of him, he's got some solid stuff. He's really good at the TA, and he's one of the predictions that he said is he thought we might see some real ping ponging on our way up because we're sort of in that pre-halving phase of the bull market. Where if you look at any of the last few times that we went into the halving, the year before it started going up, like we hit the bottom sometime a year, roughly give or take a few months before the halving. But we didn't start shooting up by then, but we definitely had a it was like a very slow and very steady uptrend, and then it eventually gets to where you get real close to having, and then it turns into that parabola. But it's been, I think we're definitely in that pre-having phase, and so Bitcoin is now, which I never thought it would again, but it's regained 50% of the market share of like the total crypto market cap, and anytime that bull run has started, it's always been by Bitcoin taking off before anything else and taking a big share of that market cap. So I'm expecting that to happen very soon.
Yeah, I was when Bitcoin went to 30,000, basically, I thought maybe by the end of the year it would get to 30,000, but definitely not this quick by the summer. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually pretty happy that it does. I feel like we will see a correction pretty soon to go maybe back to 28, but it's up only from there after
Yeah,
that.
and I was gonna say what what Jeb's point was in that is that it was going to, we'd probably see 32 or 34, and then we'd go back down to like 27.5, 28, then we'd go back up to 35, and then we'd come back down to 29. So keep making higher highs and higher lows, but it's not, we're definitely not until we get close to halving, I don't think going to see much more. I don't think we're going to see the 50% move or 100% move like we saw basically from the bottom in November to now. But I do expect that we will be seeing consistent moves up over the course of the rest of the year.
So I wanted to talk about the different ways to invest in cryptocurrency. So basically, I use Kraken, and that's a great US based company. They're based out of Wyoming, and I have no problems with them. They got the cheapest fees of any exchange that I've seen. I use a lot of exchanges and on ramps, but it's nice to see them doing good. And they're in Wyoming. I got a friend from Wyoming, and he's actually my partner with Epic Creations, Levi Decker. He's from Wyoming. So, and they got no capital gains tax over there. So
Nice.
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I need to check again. It's been a while. Most of the exchanges I signed up for in 2021 when I was first getting into it. But I believe at that time, if I remember correctly, that was not available in Washington State. So I am not signed up for Kraken. I believe that was the reason why. So that's unfortunately not available to me. I mean, I use different ones. I've got just a little bit on crypto.com. I've got a little bit more on Binance. I've got, a little bit on an Atomic Wallet, because Atomic Wallet's the one of the only ones that I was able to find that I could buy XRP on. I do my trading. So my buy and hold I use on all the stuff like that. My trading I do on Robinhood just because I like how easy it is for them to set up buy orders and sell orders, and they do have low to no fees. They've got lower fees than almost anybody else. So that's kind of, those are the exchanges that I use. I've got a bunch, and then I've got like my I believe it's Probit that I've got my XTP on. So it's a lot of times the exchanges that I use are just dependent on whatever coin I want to buy. And so like I've also got, I use the MyR app for my Multiverse X Elrond stuff, which I know you're familiar with that one. But yeah, it's kind of, I just kind of do whichever one will let me buy the coin I want to buy is the exchange that I use.
Yeah, basically that's what I do too.
Mm-hmm.
So, another thing I want to talk about is security, the security risks associated with cryptocurrency, such
Mm-hmm.
as hacks, scams, and fraud. There's a big problem in the crypto space with hacks, scams, and fraud. I've
Mm-hmm.
been victim to uh, a scam myself, and it's no fun. And basically, I think until the developers can really fix the issues with, first of all, hacking is crazy because millions and millions of dollars get stolen. And I think once they can fix that problem, then I think the adoption phase will really start kicking in, because a lot of people are afraid to lose their money to scams and hacks and
Yeah.
fraud. So
Yeah. Well, that's something that I think is what I've told people forever. Well, security is a really big deal. Yeah, it's always a good thing, and I'm not somebody who takes my own advice very well, but I know it is a good thing to have like a hardware wallet, have your stuff in cold storage where it can be accessed, can't be, somebody can't take it from you or whatever. But it's that. I also think that security and ease of use is actually the main thing holding back the crypto industry right now. And I keep telling this, and you have these like Bitcoin maxis or these crypto like hardcore maxis that just like scream will scream at you, not your keys, not your crypto, which 100% is true. Like, but the thing is, have you met the average person? Like no, not having keys and keeping track of your keys is not something that grandma is going to worry about. And unfortunately, until we get some good regulation from the SEC so that companies, exchanges are less afraid of doing business and they have ways to set it up so it's very, very easy for grandma to buy some Bitcoin, it's going to be like it's going to continue to be held down. And so we need the SEC to actually, give some clear guidance. We need some because I think exchanges will be more secure once there's better guidance. I think the exchanges will be easier to use once there's better guidance. But that's the thing. Like I've always said that. Like you get a little annoyed because yes, it's 100% true. Not your keys, not your crypto. But you got to know that crypto people are like the top 20% typically tech wise, and the bottom 80% don't want to deal with all that tech. And they got to have a way to click and choose, and they don't have to worry about private keys. They don't have to worry about any of that. And unfortunately, that's the way it's got to be. In a perfect world, everybody would be able to manage their keys. We're in a very imperfect world where 80% of people will not be able to do that.
Right. So yeah, speaking of the SEC, we could talk about regulation for a second. The regulatory landscape for cryptocurrency is very different in a lot of different countries. Like in the US, for example, we have the SEC kind of being the police, the cop on the beat, kind of keeping the crypto industry down. And in other countries, El Salvador, Bitcoin has become legal currency, legal tender per transactions all over the place. So it really is, and there's places all in between. So it really is quite an interesting subject. And I think that like everyone is saying, the US just really needs to step up and start leading the industry, the crypto industry, instead of just punishing those pioneers that are in the crypto industry that are pioneering these great projects and assets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally agree. It's gonna continue to be cloudy until they come in. It's really until I think they change the leadership of the SEC really because there's a lot of politicians, not to not to get political otherwise, but there tends to be more often that Democrat politicians the ones that want to like censor crypto, and Republican politicians usually more often are the ones that are pushing for like some clear regulation or some freedom with it, or whatever, and if you're a one issue voter, that would be the only thing that mattered, but most people aren't. But yeah, it's just that until they give some clarity, it's going to really hold it back, and people are always going to follow the way that the U.S. goes. So once it finally is some clarity in the U.S., I mean, we see like the U.S. The Fed controls Bitcoin market, and that it's even though the Fed's only for the U.S., it's not for the rest of the world, but the entire world reacts to Bitcoin when the Fed makes an announcement, and so we lead the way. And unfortunately, I think it's going to be a while because Bitcoin threatens the dollar, crypto threatens the dollar, threaten the future of CBDCs and all that stuff. And so it's going to have to be, I think the next bull run, we're going to see a lot more countries adopt Bitcoin. And I think eventually you'll hit a tipping point where enough countries are adopting Bitcoin where it's going to force the US to act. And then at that point, I think then that's when you see Bitcoin at $1 million or whatever.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
nice. I've seen more and more politicians um kind of voice their support for crypto. Like I think it's Senator Davidson put forth the bill to restructure the SEC,
Yeah.
and so that was kind of some bullish news during the bearish times. And I think if we could get some legislation pushed through in with the senators and Congress, it would really help and get some clarity to the regulatory framework that needs to be in place. Because basically, it's really just bad actors, people that are defrauding people that the SEC should be going after, and instead they're going after legitimate businesses in the
Yeah.
crypto industry.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. So The another thing we could talk about is environmental impact. A lot of people on the left side of the aisle will, say that Bitcoin is bad for the environment and all this other stuff. And basically, that's why they have other cryptocurrencies that are more energy efficient, like XRP and Corium and other Solana, ADA. Basically, a lot of the new ones, even Ethereum now, I think is more energy efficient. Um, and
Yeah,
then
significantly
Bitcoin
so.
has got the Lightning Network, and I think that does that cut down on the energy use.
Uh, I don't believe so. I'm pretty sure it only cuts down on congestion because you still have to mine. Even with Lightning, what you're doing is you're essentially creating it's sort of like a ledger within a ledger. And so you have all those transactions pass back and forth in the Lightning network, but then they still have to be recorded in the same block that's going to be mined regardless. And so it makes it so that you don't have this wait time and you don't have these higher fees with Bitcoin, but it still is you're still having to mine and mine all those blocks and record all that in the ledger. The miners are still recording the ledger, so I don't believe that actually cuts down on uh, any energy usage that's happening by the miners,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And so yeah, it's I mean I think it's a little overblown. I mean, if you look at how much energy is used by the financial sector in general versus Bitcoin, it's not that bad. And I've always been a believer that like the answer to energy usage is the free market. The answer to global warming or climate change or whatever is going to be companies like inventing new technologies. There's going to be new technologies in even 10 years from now that are far more green than anything we use today. And I don't think that any government regulation, like New York, a year or two ago, tried to ban proof of work mining, stuff like that. It's not going to make a difference. It's what needs to happen is new technology. New technologies will be invented. They're invented every day, and within 10 years, we're going to have so many new technologies that we don't even conceive of today. And so it's for me, it's a non the environmental impact is a non-issue. Like, yeah, it's kind of a big deal, but I think as Bitcoin grows, technology is going to grow too. It's going to make things easier and better.
Yeah, that the potential for this asset class to revolutionize the way we think about money and finance is revolutionary. Basically, the future of cryptocurrency has so much potential, and it's only a matter of time before they're starting to they're starting to tokenize real estate, and
Mm-hmm.
basically they're saying that like all assets will be tokenized and put on the blockchain in the future. And so basically adoption's right around the corner, and I'm surprised it's not here yet, actually.
Yeah.
But
Do
if
you
you want
mind?
to,
Do
yeah.
you got an agenda of questions, or do you mind if I ask you something?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
So one thing I've been thinking about a lot, I'm actually in like an investing text group, and I was about to send out a message to them this week. So I've been thinking a lot about now the fact that we've just gone through the bear market. All the alts went down 95%, Bitcoin went down 80%, all this stuff. I've been thinking about like, what did I do wrong last time? And what am I going to do differently this time? And so I'd like to hear your perspective on that first, and then maybe I'll share mine. Just like, what are you doing differently this bull run that you didn't do last time that you maybe have learned, or you made a mistake last time, you're going to do better? Like what I'm interested. I'm trying to get people's thoughts on that.
Yeah, so basically what I do, um I keep a close eye on the charts, and I have my signals that basically tell me which way the market is going to go, and I stick to that, and it basically most of the time is correct. And it's hard to lose money if you just watch the wave trend.
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing? What are you planning to do though? I mean, is that something you didn't do last time around in the last bull market, or what are you
Oh
doing
yeah, yeah. Last
different this
time
time?
I did not see anything coming. I just um I was buying the top, I was just I didn't see any I thought it was up only, and it's not. It's clearly going down
Right.
as well.
Right.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. No, and I think I'm the same way. That's kind of like what I've been thinking about is last time I definitely took some profits. Like I'm not saying I didn't take any profits. I knew that it would come down eventually, but I think I was thinking bare minimum 80,000 for Bitcoin. And then, but I thought it would be over 100K, but I thought bare minimum 80. So I was like, I'll sell a little bit at 80K, take some profit, da da da. And, went up to 69 and I took almost no profits. And then as it crashed, I didn't have a ton of money because I had not taken any profits. So I didn't have a lot of money to reinvest. And then life changed and I got married. I had to pay for a wedding. So all this way, like this whole time, bottom of the bear market, I've been accumulating, but nowhere near what I wanted to accumulate, right? And
Right.
so my goal this next time is, I mean, I'm setting rules for myself. Like I've said, I'm a very conservative investor anyways. So I mean, like typically my trades I shoot for like 2% profit. Like I'm not going for 100x. Like I have some buy and holds that I would love for that to happen on, but my normal trades are 2%. So what I'm planning to do is the Bitcoin that I'm buying and holding. I'm planning to like day one that it hits an all-time high again. As soon as we hit 70,000, right? I'm selling probably 5% of the Bitcoin that I hold long term. And then if it goes up another, I don't know, 10,000, whatever. If it, I got to figure out the numbers that I'm going to do it at. But if it goes up a certain amount, I'm going to keep selling a little bit as long as we're at all time highs. I'm going to sell a little bit and a little bit. And I'm planning to sell probably down to 20%, like not down to 20%, probably 20% of the Bitcoin that I hold. So I'll still hold 80 because Bitcoin is, no matter what, is a long-term hold, right? I don't really want to sell a lot of my Bitcoin. But Bitcoin and Ethereum, I'll probably sell 20%. And then my altcoins, I'm probably going to sell down at least 50%. So my XRP that I have, I'll only have half that much XRP. Hopefully by the end of the bull market, I'll only have half as much Cardano. And then as we crash, then I will have a lot of cash, and then I'm planning to be buying, and I'll be able to buy a lot more than I bought this last time because my goal is like I need to set myself up so that this bull run I probably won't be able to retire, but I want to be able to buy enough in the next bear market so I can retire in the bull run after that. So when 2028 comes around, like my goal is to retire.
Yeah.
And I gotta my goal is that's my goal basically. Like I need to accumulate cash this time around. When the prices are up, I need to recognize that they're going to go back down again and I need to sell some profits.
Yeah, definitely. I think keeping like a trailing stop loss on your profits is definitely a really smart move. Just in case, because you like it can happen so fast. 5 minutes and or to an hour, and it can drop 50%. It's you never know with the market, and that's the thing is it's tough to know. But when you've got good indicators and trailing stop loss, it really helps.
Yeah. Do you got any like what are your primary trading strategies? Like are you I mean, I'm sure you buy and hold and I'm sure you do. I know you do a bit of trading with some leverage and stuff. Like what is your you were talking about your waves and stuff like that. Like what does your primary trading strategy look like?
Yeah, there's an indicator called the wave trend that I
Hmm.
put on there, and then basically it shows the wave of momentum, and it gives you a green dot when at the bottom. It's basically like watching the the swell of the ocean.
Hmm.
So there's a low tide and then there's a high tide, and when there's a low tide, and then there's a green dot, then it turns around. It's a bullish divergence, and then
Hmm.
and then once it gets to the top of the wave or the top of the swell, then it'll have a bearish divergence and go back down. And basically, that's the cycle of the market. It goes up and down. And if you can spot the location of where it's gonna diverge, then you're gonna basically get it every time.
Hmm. Nice. Yeah. So do you Do you know what your accuracy rate, your hit rate is with that versus like do you ever close those for loss? Like what do you?
Um, so basically the smartest move I think is to just set a stop loss for 10%
Mhm.
loss. But sometimes I will not set a stop loss and I will just let it go. I'll even like add more if it even goes under my liquidation price. I have an auto margin addition
Mhm.
on my crypto exchange. So basically, if it hits my liquidation price, it'll automatically throw like $3 or $4 more at it so that it lowers the liquidation price. And then if it goes back to my entry, basically I'll break even. So I'll just sell it there or see if it goes any higher, make some profits off of it. But I try not to sell for any losses. 10%, the 10% thing is the only one really. If it goes any farther than that, I'll just hold on to it and keep throwing money down if I need to.
So what happens if you end up getting caught in like the end of a bull market? You drop like 40K, you're and not 40K, 40%. You keep like tossing in more and more margin. Like eventually at some point, aren't you gonna like overspend or get stopped out or something?
Yeah, I mean if I'm down probably it over 100%, it's definitely looking like, and it's not looking like it's gonna go back the other way, then I'll let go of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes sometimes I'll hold on to it because I know eventually it will go the other way. And a lot of it is just the waiting game. You're just waiting for it to get into profits for you so you can get out of the position.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for me. I mean, I don't know if you want me to share my kind of my trading strategies.
Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. So it's yeah, for your listeners listening, like I've mentioned multiple times, like I'm very low risk. Well, I'm a combination of low risk and too stubborn to ever sell for a loss. Uh and which is a weird combination, but it's basically what it is I don't trade on leverage at all. Like if I buy because I think it's going to go up and I'm going to sell for and I want to sell in a little bit for a profit. If it doesn't go up and it goes down 90%, I'm going to keep holding it until it doesn't go back up again. Now this is only I'd only do trading on Bitcoin and Ethereum because of this, because those are the only two that I think are going to continue to go up. Other altcoins, I have no idea. Some of them fail and they will never come back up again. Some of them will come back up another 10x, whatever in a few years. And so what I do, I've got two main trading strategies that I do, and I do one on Bitcoin and one on Ethereum, and I've kind of played with them and I've kind of fine tuned them. And basically, what I do is it takes a lot of initial capital to start with, especially if you get a big drop. So basically, what I do, I call it ladder trading. I think there's another thing called ladder trading, but I call it that anyways because I don't know really. I think the only other thing I know of would be like stair step trading. But basically, what it is, it takes a lot of money to get started, depending on how much you start as your initial investment. But once you're in, it's like just sort of just prints money almost automatically for you. Um, so I like idiot free investing. I can do TA. Like I look at TA sometimes and I'll throw some extra money in if I think there's a good buying opportunity. But my main trading strategy is on Bitcoin. So what I do is I start with let's say 250. I started with $100 for each buy, but I'm up to 250 now. So right now we're at 30,000. So say at 30,000, I buy $250 worth of Bitcoin. What I do is I set a 2% profit, take profit. So 30,600. If I buy at 30,250, at 30,600, I'm going to have $255. Now, the reason why I have the strategy is because I could buy and hold, but it could take 6 months, a year, whatever to double, right? But this takes advantage of every single movement up and down of the price. So right now I do every 2%. I'd like to eventually get to the point where I can do every 1% because it gives me a lot more, making profits basically every day. So what it is it goes up to 30,600, take out 255. But now I'm going to take that 255 and I'm going to set a buy order back at 30,000 again. So at the same spot I bought at before at 250 is now going to be 255. Then when the price moves back down, because it's moving up and down, because this happens every day, right? When the price moves back down to 30,000, I'm going to buy again for 255 automatically. It's going to hit my buy order. I'll get a notification. As soon as I get the notification, I hit the buy order. I set a sell order again for 30,600. When it hits 30,600, that's up for 255.10 now. So I've made an extra 10 cents. Then I'm going to take that 255, set another buy order at 30,000. If it goes back down to 30,000 again, I'm going to buy for 255. Then when it goes back up to 30,600, I'm going to sell again. And now this time it's going to be for 260.20. So now I'm going to make an extra 20 cents on top of that $5 I was making. And basically what it is I have a buy order set every 2%. So I have a buy order set at 30,000. I have a buy order set at 29.5, at 29, at 28.5, at 28, and so on. And every time I make a buy, I set a sell order. Every time something sells, I reset that buy order with that money. So I reinvest all or most of the profits that I just made from that. And the thing is as long as that price is eventually going to go back up, and if you believe that Bitcoin is always eventually going to go back up, this method will always make money. You can trap somebody up at the top. Like if I had buys at 69,000 and we dropped all the way to 16,000, right? That money is kind of dead to me for 2 years. But once that price comes back up, once the bear market's over, I'm going to start making profits on that money again. So that's the drawback is it does cost a lot of money to get in. But I mean, you could even do that strategy with $5. You could do $5 buys and make $5.10 and then reinvest $5.10 and then make $5.12. And you can keep doing that over and over. And eventually it's going to make lots of profit for you. So that's what my little ladder trading strategy that I've come up with. My other one that I do is on Ethereum. I put say $2,500 worth of Ethereum in. So what I do is every time it goes up 5%, I have a 5% target on Ethereum. So that would be 26.25 is what it would hit. I'd sell that 125 and bring it back down to 2,500. And then if it goes back up again to 26.25, then I'd sell back down to 2,500. And then after I've taken, say, let's say four times of that profit, I would then start with I would adjust my baseline from 2,500 up to 26. So then I'm looking at taking, what is that? That's going to be 27.30 is going to be my profit taking. And I'll bring that back down. I sell that 130 back down to 2,600. And then if I make $400 or $500 in that, then I'm going to bring my baseline up to 27. And then on the other side of that, if the price drops, I've got a 10% for my buy. So if the price drops from 2,500 down to 2,250, I'm going to buy $250. So I'm basically every 5% I take a profit, every 10% I buy that 10% back. And so I constantly keep my Ethereum at 2,500 to start, and then 2,600, then 27. It's slowly going to grow. But basically what it is I'm going to keep taking profits on the way up, and I'm going to keep accumulating on the way down. So even if it goes back down to the price it was when I first started buying, I'm going to hold a lot more Ethereum than I did the first time around because my price is going to be much. Instead of 2,500, I'm now going to be like 3,200 or something dollars worth of Ethereum. And so, like I said, I kind of do idiot-proof investing. I just deal with percentages. I'm going to buy when it goes down. I'm going to sell when it goes up. And I don't care which way it's going as long as I've got some action. The only thing that kills me is when it's been flat like it's been the last 2 months because I'm barely hitting it's not even moving those 4% that I needed to move. But it will soon. So those are my main trading strategies as far as my trades because I don't use leverage. I will buy and hold. And even if I have to hold it for 2 years before I sell for a profit, I'm too stubborn to sell for a loss. And that's just the way that I view trading. Everybody's a little bit different, but that's what I prefer. And then my buy and hold, I'm just like looking for good projects and I'm trying to buy those and hold them until I see a major profit. Then, like I said, next bull run, I am planning to sell a lot of those, get some cash so I can buy even more the next time around.
Yeah, that's great. So you're doing that on Robinhood?
I do just because Robinhood is, it's not the greatest trading platform ever, but it makes it very easy to do buy and sell orders and they have very low fees. So their spreads are not too bad. And so it's very easy for me to just kind of set those and leave them. You could set buy orders that'll last for 90 days or sell orders that'll last for 90 days. And you can just reset them if they do expire. So that's my trading happens on Robinhood. My buy and hold happens everywhere else.
Okay, so how long have you been doing that strategy?
So I've been doing that for a couple years. The problem was initially I wasn't smart about which asset to buy. So I started doing it on Bitcoin Cash just because I wanted to buy and hold Bitcoin, but I wanted to trade Bitcoin Cash. And I was actually making good money, and then Bitcoin Cash Wow, I can't speak. Bitcoin Cash crashed like 95, 99% at the end of this last bull market. And then the more I've learned about Bitcoin Cash, I'm not convinced that it'll ever come back up to where it was before, because I think it's kind of it's one of the has-been altcoins, I guess. Because why hold Bitcoin Cash when you can hold Bitcoin? And I know there's argument about, the transaction throughput and stuff like that, but so I did end up losing money on that just because I picked an asset that I wasn't sure was going to go up forever. As long as you're doing this strategy on an asset that will go up forever, and if you believe Bitcoin will, Bitcoin's the one to do that on. And so I do it now on Bitcoin, and I've been doing it pretty consistently. I actually almost perfectly timed it. I started doing it again back in November when we were at the bottom. So I've made money all the way up, and when the market's volatile right now, because each trade is net me about $5 in profit. So when the market's volatile, I make like $10 a day on it. It's not a lot, but it's definitely, but it's 6 months. That $10 a day will be $13 a day. Because it keeps building. I keep reinvesting it all. So I can make 10, 20, $30 in a day if the market's volatile. If the market's flat, I might make five. But again, in a year from now, those numbers will be 10 and $80 a day. So, we'll see what happens then.
Hmm.
But it is slowly building, and it doesn't ever, worst case scenario is I hold more Bitcoin than I want to. Best case scenario is I'm trading every day and I'm making profits every day. And so either way, I'm not losing.
Right.
What's your opinion on the BlackRock ETF?
Basically, it got denied. I mean, or it got sent back to them.
Yeah, they sent it back, said you need to correct some of your wording. So it wasn't a denial. It was just like hey, you need to fix your application. But it sounds like that's somewhat common. So I don't take any stock into that. I think it just, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I still don't think it will be approved for a while, at least until the SEC is pushed to kind of support crypto.
Yeah, I mean, if it was anybody but BlackRock, I would agree. I think BlackRock owns a lot of people in politics.
Yeah, BlackRock would be the only one that could really push the SEC to do that.
Yeah, and the fact that they've had, what was it, like 575 to 1 or whatever it was for their approval rates. And so it's like they have a near perfect, like they're probably really upset that that one got denied. And so they know number one how to write something that doesn't get denied, but then they number two have a lot of power, like around the world in politics, everything. And so I think if there's one that's going to get approved, it'll be this one. And I think if it does, like I don't know if we were ready for an ETF the last bull run, but like this bull run, there's so many reports that come out like from insiders that there are just companies just sitting with millions and millions and billions of dollars and they just are waiting for an ETF.
Oh
And
yeah, just
so
a ton of people sitting on the sidelines with all that cash. Yeah, just waiting until it's approved.
yeah, I don't think we were ready last time. I think this time if it gets approved, we are ready for it to all that money to come in. And then I'm like the one thing I'm unsure of is like I think if we do get an ETF and we get all that institutional investments, I think the blow off top is going to be a thing of the past. Like I think we definitely will still have crashes, but where we're having like 80, 90% crashes, especially in Bitcoin, I think you might see 60, 50% crashes in the future because the smart money institutions aren't going to sell in panic. And also the bigger an asset is, the harder it is to move. And so I think the days of 80% crashes are over if there's an ETF approved and billions of dollars of institutional investment coming into the ecosystem.
Okay, Bitcoin supply unmoved for at least 1 year reached an all-time high in June, approximately 70% of the circulating supply. So
Yeah.
70% of the circulating supply unmoved for at least a year.
Yeah.
So so that almost makes me think that we're like nearing a top. But what do you think that
What
means?
do you mean by that?
Um Well, say, well, I don't know. It just gives me that feeling that
Yeah.
that it's reaching the
Well,
top.
well, no, I think it's the other way around because I think what
Oh,
happens
really?
is, yeah, I think what happens is everyone who knows about crypto, all the, especially the whales, everybody, like I've got Bitcoin that hasn't moved in 2 years, right? I've got a lot of Bitcoin that hasn't moved in 1 year because what happens is everyone accumulates in the bear markets, and so you've got all this accumulation, you've less and less supply because everyone buys up all the cheap Bitcoin. And then what happens is you see that number of Bitcoin last moved in the last 6 months or a year or whatever the number is, because there's lots of different stats on it. You see that number drop when you have a bunch of new people buying new Bitcoin and a bunch of old people selling profits in the like the bull run when it shoots up super high. Then you see that all the Bitcoin starts moving because everyone starts selling the Bitcoin they've been holding forever for profit, and then you get all these new people, all the noobs, all the exit liquidity coming in, buying, buying, buying because they're trying to get in on the end of the hype train and they're trying to make money coming in. And so that's when you have fresh Bitcoin that isn't being held because it's all being sold into profit to the people wanting to buy and get on the hype train. And so usually you see that number at all-time lows when you're at the top
Oh,
because
okay.
it means that, like, because when it's at all-time highs, it means that everyone's accumulating. They've been buying and there's nothing left to buy. When there's nothing left to buy, you get a supply crunch and then you get a huge price kick and the price jumps way up. And then yeah, it comes yeah, be interesting. I saw a chart the other day too. Actually, it was showing that basically the last 4 years, or really this year, for the first time ever, it's all the other 4 year cycles. At the end of the cycle, there was always more Bitcoin available than at the beginning because obviously mining created significantly more Bitcoins back then and everything, right? But then what has happened this time is because there's significantly less Bitcoin being mined, and there's still a significantly high amount of people buying and accumulating. This will be the first time in a 4 year cycle that there will ever have been less Bitcoin available to buy than there was at the start of the cycle, which means that Bitcoin is finally, like, people always say Bitcoin is a scarce asset, which is true, but it really wasn't the first 10 years because 90% of it got mined in the first 12 years or whatever. Now that the block reward is so small, now Bitcoin is truly a scarce asset because now more is being bought than is being mined. Before it was the other way around. So now is when you start to really see the price crunch happen because of that.
Hmm. Yeah. I've been seeing a lot of FUD around Binance recently, with their lawsuits and everything from the Department of Justice, and the SEC. And some of my friends think that Binance is the whole company's going to go under. You got the CEO of Metal blockchain, which is also Proton blockchain, talking about that Binance is going to be going down, CZ going to prison. Some serious accusations from Marshall Hayner, the CEO of Metal Blockchain, and it's it's interesting to see what will happen. I think that the company Binance will uh, go on, even if some of the main um, characters that work there are taken out and removed, putting it going through court cases and maybe even some jail time. But I feel like in the long run, Binance, the company as a whole, will succeed, and they will live on past all this regulatory nonsense.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm not at all worried about Binance. Binance is the one I'm probably least worried about. It is. There's been some accusations by the SEC. There's been no evidence that's come out for any of that stuff. The worst thing that the things that they have been accused of are not FTX type level things. It's not. It's things that are illegal, but it's not things that are illegal, if that makes sense. Like the worst that's going to happen, number one, Binance Global, not Binance US, but Binance Global has so much money. CZ has so much money. They're going to have the best lawyers, the best whatever. I don't expect anything to happen from that. The worst I expect to happen is Binance US, not even Binance Global, just Binance US will have to pay a fine. They're going to get slapped with a X amount of $1 million fine, right? It's just going to be a slap on the wrist for them, and they're going to be fine. Like I don't expect anything to happen from that. So I mean, I haven't seen. I mean, the worst accusation I've seen, and maybe I haven't read all the articles in detail, but they did accuse Binance US of commingling customer funds with Binance Global, which is, technically with all the regulation in the US, you're not ever supposed to have any of your money go from the US company to the global company. Um, but I mean, that's the type of thing that they fine you for. It's not the type of thing that they throw people in jail for. And so I don't think anything. I don't think anything's going to happen to that. And if anything does happen, I mean, by the time it happens and goes through the whole court case, it'll be well through the next bull run. It'll be, Binance will be even richer than they are now. Like they're fine, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see the
Yeah.
company going anywhere really. And I've always thought that CZ was really smart, legitimate character. Uh the CEO of Binance, Chao Zhang Peng
Right,
Zhao,
right, right.
Chao
Yeah.
Zhang, something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So um so that's interesting. I wanted to talk about that. And then also yeah, what do you know anything about the FedNow system?
Uh, I can give a summary of what I believe from what I read. So it's supposed to replace essentially like ACH payments. So, and your viewers can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong or whatever, but pretty sure what it is essentially ACH payments right now, transferring from bank to bank, which is another which is what XRP was designed to fix, was transfers between bank to bank, right? Um, ACH payments take 3 to 5 business days. And so they're slow. It's like why when if you write someone a check and then they go deposit that check in their bank right now, it's not going to show up. Well, it'll probably show up in their account immediately because the bank will credit them that money, but it's not actually going to leave your account for a minimum of 3 days. And so if you're not paying very close attention, you might not really, you might think you have more than you have because you're like, oh, they already deposited that check, but it might have not hit your account yet. It could take 5 business days, which is a whole week, right? And so what you end up getting is it's a bad system. It's an old system. It's the year 2023. Like, why do we still have this? So the Fed now is what it's supposed to be. Is supposed to be an instantaneous transfer, bank to bank, country to country. But I think it's mostly from bank to bank, and which is a good thing. But the fact is that the Fed's only introducing it. What is it now? 5 years after after the SEC decided to sue XRP because XRP had a solution earlier, but they weren't happy with it. And so this is yeah, as far as I know, that's my understanding of it. Is it's supposed to be an instantaneous or close to instantaneous, cheap or free bank to bank transfer that works much better than ACH transfers. We have wire transfers now, which can be instant, but that requires like someone approving both ends of the transfer, and there's usually a fee with wire transfers. So this would essentially be like ACH, but faster, almost instantaneous.
Right. And I heard that it went live on July 1st. Is that true?
That I don't know. I haven't looked into that in a while. I remember when they first announced it a while back, and I think I do remember them saying it was going to go live sometime this summer or fall. But I guess I haven't been paying enough close attention to that yet. I guess.
Okay, and I saw somebody on Twitter was investigating the FedNow system, and they're integrating the metal blockchain uh in the FedNow system. And I just wanted to ask you if you know about the metal blockchain.
I don't know if I've heard of it. I don't think I know anything about that.
So do you know
You?
about Proton?
Don't know if I've heard of that either. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
Oh, okay. Proton is XPR. It's purple. Blockchain, metal blockchain is being utilized on the FedNow system. And basically, the guy's grandfather was a banker. So basically, he was kind of born into the role and, just stepped into it. Um, and so it's a really interesting to see that company coming up and those companies coming up. And they also have another coin called Loan, Proton Loan, I think, and you can loan that coin out to other people and then they pay you back over time. I think
Mhm.
is the concept there, but yeah, he seems to be a pretty cool guy. Other than the accusations against CZ and Binance that he's kind of put out there without evidence, uh, it's a pretty cool guy.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the only thing that bugs me that scares me about anything like a CBDC or like a FedNow is obviously the more control that the government has over your money. Who knows uh, what can happen if the government decides to get more authoritarian? Are they going to shut off your access to your money? Like, other than that, I mean, like, if they didn't do that, like FedNow, I'm sure is going to work great. Like, I would appreciate being able to transfer money instantly and not having to wait 3 days. But it's that's a problem that crypto already solved in multiple ways, and that I prefer to do it through crypto instead of through the government. But it's, yeah, if it works, it works, type of thing. It's one of those.
Right. Oh, so I was seeing recently the floor price of Bored Ape Yacht Club dropped dramatically, and a lot of people on Twitter are saying that NFTs are dead. I wanted to get your opinion on that. I know you weren't always too big into NFTs.
Yeah, so I'm kind of laughing at all the news reports. I am not. Uh, it was always a hype thing, and anyone that wasn't sucked up in the hype always knew that, and even a lot of people who were into the hype knew it was a hype thing, and they just didn't get out early enough. Same thing with a lot of us, investing in Bitcoin, thinking it was going to go above 100K before we sold. It's the same thing. But for me, my argument was actually never always that it was a hype thing, because I bought a tiny little bit of Shiba, like I said earlier. I made some good money on Dogecoin, so it's hype is okay, but you have to know that it's hype, and you have to know that you are taking a big risk when you buy into the hype. As long as you know that and you're buying in, like, it's fine. But for me, the reason why I never bought an NFT and probably never will is because I don't understand art. And I would not spend 20 grand or even $1,000 or probably even $500 on a picture that I could physically hang on my wall. So why would I spend that kind of money, or $500,000 or whatever it was? Why would I spend that type of money on a picture, on a JPEG, on my phone, that, even though I know it's verified by the blockchain, and like, yeah, I get all the technology behind it, and that's cool and all, but like, I'm not an art collector to begin with, so why would I collect digital art? And so that was always my reason. Like, I don't think NFTs are dead. I think there will be little booms and busts that come back. I think it's going to be a market like anything else. I don't know if the hype will ever be as big as it was, but there's definitely, especially next bull run comes around, there's going to be, once people start making money, when the cryptos pump, they're going to start trying to buy things. They buy Lambos, they buy pictures, they buy Bored Apes, whatever. They're going to buy something. And so it'll hype up again. It's probably not as big as before, but it'll definitely hype. So, if you think you're smart enough to get in on the right projects, buy some. If not, like, I don't think I'm smart enough, nor do I care enough about pictures of apes or whatever to spend that kind of money.
Right. And that makes me think about the land that was for sale in the metaverse. That was it was all the hype back a few years ago in 2021. And it seems I haven't really heard anything about land in the metaverse recently, but I'm sure it'll come back. But did you ever
That's
get any
one.
land in the metaverse?
I never did. I haven't spent much time looking into the metaverse or buying stuff. Metaverse is actually one that I think has the opposite of what an NFT has. I think NFTs, other than collector's items, have no utility. I do think more and more we are going to be living in a dystopian future where people spend a lot of time in the metaverse. Technology is not ready for that yet. But with like, have you seen that new Apple headset that's coming out, the VR AR headset?
Yeah.
That thing's crazy. I think that's going to be the first one that's going to really make people want to be in something like a metaverse.
Hmm.
And the version 2 of that that'll come out in say 3 years, 4 years, whatever. Like the technology going forward now. Like I've got an Oculus. Oculus is fun for games, but I'm not going to spend any time in the metaverse in the Oculus. Like especially if I'm someone that doesn't have a life. Like if I got money to buy that Apple headset, I'm going to be living in the metaverse. And so I think that metaverse land is going to continue to be valuable. The hype died for that last run, but I think NFTs will never get as hyped as they were before. I think metaverse will continue for the next 20 years, whatever, to continue to be. The thing is though that I think a lot of metaverses will die. It's going to be really if you pick the right one. If it's going to be like MySpace, Facebook, Friendster back in the day, right?
Hmm.
If you had bet on, if you had bought, say each one of those had land in a metaverse, if you had bought Friendster land, you would have lost all your money, right? But if you had bought Facebook land, you'd be rich right now because you could have sold that for a lot of money. So I think the play is going to be finding the right metaverse to buy land in. But I do think the metaverse is going to pump. It's going to continue to pump for years.
Yeah, I like the part about the metaverse where like basically you can have a building, downtown in your city or whatever, and then you can have like a billboard ad that somebody is paying you to have on your building,
Yeah,
and so it's passive income from the metaverse like that. That's the one utility that I
yeah.
really like.
Yeah, Metaverse is going to go through some growing pains of like right now it sucks. So there's no users. Like it would be boring. And because there's no users, there's nothing to do on there, right? And because there's nothing to do, there's no users and et cetera, et cetera. But slowly, you're going to very slowly get more users. And so you're going to very slowly have companies building out apps and things to do on the Metaverse. And then eventually you're going to hit a point where that parabola kicks off, where you hit the point of no return, where you get that hockey stick and it's going to shoot up. And all of a sudden, metaverse is going to be where everybody is. And so you're going to see, instead of it, last time it was everybody talking about a metaverse, at some point in the next 10 years, 15 years, it's going to be everybody joining the metaverse. And that's when you're going to make all the money with it.
Yeah, and I feel like all the big video game companies will be really making the move forward into the metaverse.
Oh, yeah. Gaming is actually, I think, right now a better investment than metaverse. I think metaverse is a big long term investment. Gaming, I think, is like blockchain gaming. Blockchain games suck right now, right? They don't until you get a blockchain game that looks like Call of Duty. You're not going to get a big audience. Nobody cares about what's the one that was big a couple of years ago that people were making a ton of money on the one where you could buy like a pet on it. It was like a Neopets, but on like do you remember what it was called?
Fortnite?
No, no, it was a blockchain game. It was
Oh, Illuvium?
no, it wasn't that one. It was the one that got super. It was the biggest one, like 2 years ago.
Sandbox?
No, Sandbox is a metaverse. That wasn't a game. They might have games on there, but I'm trying to think. What was the? Gosh, it was like I can't remember. I'm sure your viewers are going to be screaming in the comments,
Yeah.
no, Axie Infinity. That was
Oh,
it.
Axie Infinity, yeah.
Yeah, and that was I mean it's a terrible game, like right? Like that's a game that little kids play. And people were playing that to like make like thousands of dollars and people in there's all these news stories about people like in the Philippines or different places who are quitting their jobs because they're making so much money on Axie Infinity. But that's a terrible game, like right? I'd never play that game if it wasn't going to pay me.
No, I've
But
never
like
even played it. Yeah.
yeah, no, I never played it either because it would cost like $500 to buy an Axie to even start playing the game, and I didn't want to spend that on like a little, like I don't need to buy an NFT character to play the game. But the thing is, what happens when the technology gets to the point when, like, people right now stream on Twitch, right? Because they can make money on Twitch.
Hmm.
What happens when the blockchain technology gets to the point where you could play Call of Duty on the blockchain and get paid, right? So now instead of streaming on Twitch and getting paid from Twitch, I mean, you could still stream on Twitch, but now you're actually getting paid because of how whatever game rewards you have that actually like build the tokenomics of the ecosystem or whatever, the same way that Axie Infinity did, but on a game that's actually good, that actually has good like console level graphics.
Mm-hmm.
Now is when you make your money, right? And so we're still too early for blockchain gaming. We're still too early for the metaverse. Like those things, I think are very good long term investments. Or I think you wait another 4 or 5 years and then you buy into those things, and then you make some serious money as the technology gets better. Um, and so if I had a ton of extra money, I'd be buying a bunch now. I don't, so I'm actually waiting to buy. I know those industries will pop, but I don't think they're necessarily going to pop in the next 2 to 3 years because I don't think the technology's there yet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see blockchain games and everything. And I think once yeah, I think once the big video game companies really get involved, then it'll really push the industry forward to get to that the point where the metaverse and gaming, blockchain gaming, is really a household item, you know.
Yeah. Well, I also think too that I think that's going to be another industry, like I mentioned earlier. Crypto's not really going to really blow up. You're not going to see Bitcoin at $1 million until grandma can buy Bitcoin without knowing, like, she doesn't need to know how to write down her keys. She doesn't need to know how to do any of that. Like, crypto needs to get to the point where it's easy for people. And what I think really will happen with blockchain gaming is when you have a game, because right now people play blockchain games because blockchain games are awful. Like I said, the reason people play them is because they'll make money off of it. But I think what'll happen is when you have a game that just plays like a game, and maybe you can make money off of it, but people want to play it just because it's a good game, not because that's when it will really blow up. When you get people that are playing Xbox or PlayStation now that want to play the next new Fortnite or Minecraft or like whatever, the thing now, the problem is in order to get someone to play a blockchain game, you have to advertise and say, hey, this is a blockchain game, right? But if you
Right.
didn't have to advertise and you just said like buy this new Call of Duty game or buy this new, whatever the name of the game is, game that we haven't thought of yet. But when people are just saying buy this game because it's great, and then it turns out that it has a back end feature where you can make some money off tokenomics, but you're not playing it because you can make money. You're playing it because it's a fun game and you make money. That's when that stuff is going to blow up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the games that are built on Unreal Engine 5,
Mhm.
they just look phenomenal. And those are the
Yeah,
games that people want to play when there's
exactly.
great graphics and a good storyline. People love it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's kind of that's I think that's when you'll see gaming and metaverse take off is when the technology's there to make people actually want to do it, not because it's blockchain, but just because it's a good game or a good metaverse or whatever.
Right. Have you seen any videos of the Illuvium game that they're coming out with soon?
I haven't. No, I don't really pay attention to that stuff. I
Oh
haven't
yeah,
really looked. I should look at the trailer, I guess.
yeah, it looks great. I've seen like a walkthrough of some of the gameplay, and some of
Mhm.
the graphics look incredible. And basically, from what I understand, it's almost like a Pokemon game. Like you catch like monsters and battle them, just like in Pokemon. So that seems pretty cool. I like the concept. And basically, so I think for every creature that you catch, every monster that you catch, you get an NFT. It is an NFT when you
Right.
catch it. So that's interesting. And Illuvium, it just looks great. The graphics are incredible. And so you should
Really?
definitely check that out.
Yeah, I have to look into that. Yeah, sounds interesting. Yeah. We'll see how good it is. Like I said, it's a game needs to stand on its own. Like you need to be able to say it's a good game without saying blockchain, and then at that point, it will be something that people will maybe start to play. Uh, and so we'll
Right.
see at that point.
Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. You've been a great guest, and have a great night. Have a great dinner with Brenda and everything. And I will talk to you soon. I just want to say, signing off from Epic Creations, Michael Cunningham here. Um, Hope everyone's weekend is doing going great, and you're having a wonderful time in the market, and wherever you are, uh, aloha.
Aloha. Peace, everybody. Bye from Seattle.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you. Good.